Greetings, mortals. I am Natus, the ruler of the underworld. And today we are finally back. Well, I would say finally back, but this will imply that I'll be making regular videos again instead of just a single video that's probably gonna be a few months to the next one. But anyways, I'm finally making another video, and this time I'll be doing something special and more in the direction that I kind of want this channel to go from the very beginning, and that's to talk about villains. Because in today's video, we'll be going over 100 different villains across all forms of media. I said across all forms of media, but there's quite a few villains, well, quite a few sources of media that are not going to appear in this tier list, but if I continue this series, they are eventually gonna appear. There's definitely gonna be movies, TV series, and even some OCs, even some whatever you could, deviant art comic writers or whatever you want to call them. But yeah. Anyways, to get a few of the disclaimers first, I do not own the images used in this video for the tier list. I am not the, and I have no involvement with any of these people. This is just images used so we all know which characters we're talking about. But anyways, let's get into this video because again we have 100 villains to go over. So we'll start off with Ryren from Chain Soldier. I should also make statements about how I'm gonna be ranking the villains here, and this one is simply my personal opinion on these villains because while you could probably, if I were to rank them based on how evil they were, the issue is that a lot of villains will not have the same impact. Like, a villain could only be in 3 chapters and they are barely do anything in that chapter. They're literally just there to hype a character, but they would be ranked higher than a villain who is in a lot of the story, but they do nothing. In that sense, you could like end up with some random douche in like S or A tier, while villains like Black Cat, for example, who are not big threats, would be like in A or trash tier because of how little of a threat they are compared to those guys. So I'll just go by my personal opinions on the villain. So yeah, now we can finally start with the Ryren of Chain Soldier. And I'll be honest, for not a Yami type of character, I would definitely say Ryren is a villain who shows this trope or this kind of archetype, but he does it in a really well and fun way. So I would put him in B tier for now. Like, maybe I'm ranking him a little higher, but I do definitely like the jokes, the comedy with him in the, like, in his new small form that's in Chain Soldier, newest chapters. So I would definitely say he deserves to be in BT. And also I do like the fact that the way they beat him is they always use natural counters, because usually these types of villains get outpowered by characters like Goku overpowers Nappa. Kinpachi and Byakuya overpower Yami, while Ryren, it feels more like the reason why he loses are because he fights his counters. You know, so I feel like it makes him, you know, justifies a bit more, especially when it comes to power. Like, yeah, in the beginning he was kind of feeling like he was kind of being outpowered, but he's a physical bulker. Like, it's not so much the hitting him, it's actually having the damage stick that matters. So I would say for now Ryren is a B tier. Tomura Shigaraki, one of my favorite, well, my favorite anime villain and one of my favorite villains in general. S tier without any question. Like, if I had an S tier or S plus tier, Shigaraki would be in that tier. So obviously he's gonna be going to S tier. Like, I don't think I have to explain that. That his character development, his power set, his designs, like everything about him is just S tier. Now we have Jack the Ripper from Record of Ragnarok. So Jack the Ripper, I definitely like him, and I do like his design. I love just the way they use them, as well as having him be like the most evil man in human history. Although that's, I think, been retcon in the spin-off manga about him, where he killed the most evil man in human history, yet somehow he still counts for him. I don't really know. Honestly, there's so many things I question about that logic of that story, that premise, but whatever, Jack the Ripper. He's definitely a fun character. I do like his backstory and the way they handle him, as well as his power set. I think it really fits with the kind of image they had of him, especially with how he beat Hercules, but he morally won, or he morally lost to him. I think that's a very nice and interesting way to have him lose the fight. I mean, he technically won, but morally he lost to Hercules. And I think that's something that's not really done a lot of times. Like, I don't think there's that many stories where the villain wins the fight but loses in the thematic sense, or in the, in from a spirit sort of way. So I definitely think he is a very well made villain, even though he can kind of be argued if he's the villain because of the whole premise of the series. But I would definitely consider him villain because he literally knows the most evil man in the human history. I think he deserves it. But where would I put him? Above Ryan is a definite, but is he A tier? Alright, for now, I'll put him in A tier just so we can have like some placeholders to have some idea where we are ranking characters. So I think it'll make sense to put him in A tier just for now, and then we're gonna see later. Once we like go over everything to see if I'm fine with everything, because like at the moment you may say you want to put someone there, but then you might change your opinion later. Anyways, the next villain we'll be talking about is Atomic Skull from DC. Oh, just to be clear, for the comic books, I'm gonna be looking at the comic book characters in general, not just not just this specific version of the image I have, because like different continuities, different stories, different everything. So yeah, Atomic Skull. The thing is, I really like the concept of Atomic Skull. I like the designs they gave him, the whole like macho physique, but the skeleton head. I think all those really work well, and I think it's just that in media he doesn't really have much of a presence. Like, I'm not even entirely certain if he's a Superman villain outside of the Elite movie. Like, I want to say he is a Superman villain, but I don't think I've ever seen him like discussed or appear in them. So it's kind of difficult to say specifically. So it's difficult to really say. He appears, I would say, regularly in media, especially when it comes to like the multi-cap series, like Young Justice, Justice League, and I think he also appeared in those in that like movie continuity, animated movie continuity before the first reboot. So I think he does appear a lot, but he doesn't really do it. He's just kind of like a boss fight. So I can't even say he's like Ryan, who's at least entertaining. He's so unfortunately I do have to rank him low, but I would say C, because I do like the concept, I like the design, I generally like the villain, but he's not used in anything. Like, I think the most significant role he plays is the... Actually, now I think about it, I think the most significant roles can just be explained as the final few episodes of Justice League Unlimited and the first 2-3 episodes in the My Adventures with Superman Season 2's beginning, because I think he literally disappears or doesn't appear until, or doesn't have much of a presence until then. So yeah, I kind of have to put him in C tier. And then we get to Alessi of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3. Alright, so trash tier. Like, how else can I describe Alessi? Like, I mean, I get it. He's meant to be a more comedic fighter, and he's a merely, kind of like give you an extra fight, have a semi-interesting fight, and he's a hacks fighter. Like, you kind of need the guy to be incompetent with how broken the ability is of the aging people. If it's I think Seth was the name of the assistant. Like, if it touches, or if it's in your shadow, I believe it was said, like, it has to like be, the staff stand has to be on top of your shadow, or has to be like connected to your shadow. That's how you de-age. But even so, I feel like he was just kind of too comedic. Like, I get it. The what they were doing with him. They were trying to villain that's not really a big stakes. It's just more of a comical character. But they again just it did not work. Like the previous villains made sense. Like understand not being that powerful, but him being a very capable fighter. Maria wasn't really the best fighter, but at least she used her ability in a very fun, interesting way. Anubis had this like was very conditional, but he still was reasonably a threat. Ongo and Bongo were also already comedic villains, so I feel like that's just a meta it puts them already low. The fact that we already had a set of comedic villains who then one of them reappears with another comedic villain just makes them less of an give him less of a presence, less of a reason to be such a comical character. So from that standpoint, I really cannot view him as anything but trash. Like his design sucks, his personality is just pathetic. He feels very unnecessary compared to with considering to the rest of the group, and just overall bad. So yeah, trash. Then we have Kaibara from No Longer Allowed in Another World. So Kaibara is your standard slow introduction to a new villain group or introduction to the villain group. You know, the more over the top evil who's just there to be the bad guy, just an easy way for the characters to get like show up and make themselves and establish themselves. So Kaibara is your stereotypical dad, so he's obviously not some. He's kind of like the Ryren of the Seven Fallen Angels, what they are called. And honestly, I would say that he pretty much deserves to be put right there in BT with Ryren, because similar to Ryren, he is entertaining for being such a narcissistic prick, and he has a very interesting power, unlike Ryren at least, where he makes like a mouth that eats anything and then gets the power from it. So it's definitely a very powerful ability. Kind of amazing that he's like the well, I don't want to say he's the weakest because this is like another one of those like ReZero situations where Regulus is the strongest Archbishop, but he's like relatively early, being taken down relatively early compared to the rest of the Archbishops. But still, I don't really. But still, the guy he's fine, and his backstory about how he's in just the most narcissistic character in the world. Like you have him laying on a pool right behind a giant mansion, and then he can just eat dinner in his swim trunks, and then decide to kill or stab a woman whenever he wants. But then he says how he suffers is just comedy gold. He's like he's evil, but you kind of like to hate him. It's like Dolores Umbridge kind of thing. Alright, then we have Blue Keeper from Go Go Loser Ranger. Blue Keeper. Another PT, I gotta be honest. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad villain or anything, but he's like your standard first intro boss fight. Like he may be the final boss season 1, but he's nothing special particular. He has a cool design, his backstory that connects to the previous Blue Keeper and the Executors is very nice. His power set is definitely a very interesting way to use water, as well as having like his what's it called, a lance. Him having a lance, a very interesting power, because you don't really see many like lance fighters. I want to say, like, I mean, you have Lance from Lego Nexo Knights who used his namesake weapon. But then you also have him, and I think that's like about it when it comes to the characters that use it in any kind of meaningful way. So I do think he actually, I think I'm gonna put him in B tier because at least there is some depth, while the other two are just kind of evil, but they're entertaining evil. So yeah, I think I'll put him in top of B for now. Then we get Akashic for Miss Kuroitsu's Monster Development Department. And yeah, Akasuke. I mean, I really don't think I can put her anywhere but top of BT, because she's like another one, she's entertaining. Like, she's kind of the evil big boss, but she's also kind of the child lolly. Like she's a typical child lolly, but as an evil lord. So you have like more cute moments, and you have like more of the contrast. Like they are developing this super powerful evil monster to take down the hero, but then their leader, the person who has the final say in the matter, is gonna be like, yeah, it's a nice design, but I kind of want it cuter. So could you add some feathers? So it's fun seeing her, and there's also like the whole, Jesus power when she has like where they need to like they're drowning, and you need to rescue that. I think it was the chicken can one, and she just basically pull a god in in biblical text where he like split the water, where she split the water, and then for several hours, maybe even permanently, the water just remained split by her sheer force. So kind of the stereotypical jokes, but she's generally fun. Yeah, I just like it. She was really fun to see. Alright, then we get Terra Tectra from Ragna Crimson. I'll put him in A tier. I really like his design. I like the stoic nature of him. I like how he, despite not being anything special, because usually his type of characters like this, I spend like a lot of their times being built up like this. Oh, they're this natural talents. They are such accomplished warriors and all that. He doesn't have anything like that, but he proves himself to be like one of the most dangerous and powerful members of the entire group of the Winged Bloodline. I believe Crimson ranked him the second biggest threat from the Winged Bloodline. Even someone who he would even want as a member of his faction, or would want him to change sides because he was so useful. So Terra Tectra is a very fun. So that actually really worked. While he is the standard honorable warrior type, I do think they gave me have him in this short amount of time that he had screen really kind of succeeded in making him a great character. Plus, I do like his like moment where everyone's talking throughout the entire meeting about what to do in the future, but he's just like stoically standing there. It's not until Ultuzora, his partner in crime, as it may, brings up does he want to voice his opinions, and he just makes a badass speech about we lost half of our bloodline. We should not allow this. Meaning, from now this point onward, we'll fight with everything we have. We shall this disgrace we shall not live. So I definitely like that speech she gave. Again, kind of ironic, which even he points out when he's the next one that falls. But at least he died like a champion by self-destructing, and technically not being his fault because Ultuzora had his memory problem. But whatever. Anyways, then we get to Mustard from My Hero Academia, and like, this is the thing about Mustard. He's like the one villain who Coach seemed to have forgotten about, and even when Mustard did have like the screen time, he didn't really do much. Like, he showed up in the camp, he did his smoke screen, he stood there a bit until Tetsu and Kendo showed up to fight him. And then, as soon as they got like the initial like surprise out of it, as soon as they removed his quirk out of the area, he went down like he went down with one punch. Like this is some high school kid. Like I think he's even like the youngest, like from an active hero villain perspective. I think he's the youngest character that we've seen. So yeah, it's just he's just sort of there. I think during season 3 there was some speculation if he's like connect to Midnight or something, but he never really went anywhere. And he's like the only villain that didn't reappear at some point. At least Moonfish had a cameo appearance, and Muscular had his like rematch with Deku. Master just sort of, I guess, was sent to juvie and called a day. Like he's literally I think a 10 or something, and he can't even use his quirk without a mask. Skull, or at least that seems to. I don't know if it was confirmed if he needs the mask or not, but I'm going to assume he needs it considering the gas mask that he has on himself regularly. And then when they were like escorting him to the police car, he didn't use his gas, even though you'd think he could. But yeah, so Mustard, he's just sort of there. Then we have Volten Kamui from Ragna Crimson, another easy S tier. Like he's that Volten Kamui, he's an easy S tier. His designs epic, his fight is epic, his personality is pretty cool. The way he uses a very simplistic form of a very simplistic power in a very, you know, in fun way. It's definitely very interesting. It's very fun. So yeah, he just oozes aura, and the fact that the author actually made him, or at least from what I could tell, the author views him as like one of the strongest characters in the series is very, you know, it's very fun and interesting. Especially his like connection to Gilze and all that. So yeah, Volten Kamui is just a badass chat. Like, what can you say except he was amazing? Alright, then we have Captain Cutlass from Scooby Doo. So, ranking Scooby Doo villains is gonna be very interesting because, like, they don't really do anything. They sort of just scream and yell and then run around for the gang. So, how can you really rank them above, like, the design, how good their schemes are? And, yeah. Captain Cutlass, yeah, from that perspective, I feel like Captain Cutlass is more known for his design, his scheme, or anything else. Since he's like when it comes to like cameo appearances, Captain Cutlass like the character who always seems to be used. Like the live action sequel movie had him be one of the monsters that appears. So to be fair, at that point, I think it was more like it wasn't about which ones they weren't going to use. It was more which ones they can use from puppetry and from movie making perspective. There's also a few cameos that he had doing like in the Pirates Ahoy movie. There's like a brief moment with him making a cameo appearance, and Mr. Incorporated had him be like one of the more prominent statues from the old series. You know, the one that when there's like that whole museum. Then they also had him be. They also gave him a bit of a character in the Be Cool Scooby Doo, where he was first like a joke at the beginning of an episode, but then he had a whole episode with him and Fred. So yeah, and then I think the last time we've seen him is in that awful Velma show where he was a cameo appearance, which kind of breaks the whole continuity and the story of the world. But whatever. Actually, to be fair, they do reveal that Supernatural is a thing in that universe, even though they want to deny it first. But yeah, anyways, he's just a really recognizable villain that Scooby Doo faces. But there's really nothing else to mention about him. I would put him because like another gun is like it's kind of similar to Moss. Like he has a very cool look to him, but there's nothing special about it. Alright, then we get Abomination from Marvel, and I gotta have to put him in and with. Actually, no, I gotta be more fair. Alright. See, he's sort of similar to like to Atomic Skull, but the difference is he actually gets something because he's Hulk's not arch nemesis, but he's Hulk's number 2 villain. Like he's the dark counterpart one to Hulk. So he's usually getting at least some kind of attention, some kind of focus. Like he's the main villain of the well, technically the first Hulk movie or the only Hulk MCU movie is more accurate to say. He appears in Hulk's cartoons, and they, I think, want to give him a bit more of a dramatic thing, but he doesn't really do much in a lot of them. I think Hulk in the Angels of Smash, he like has like one episode where he hunts the entire team down one by one. But then I think he has another one where he makes his own team of Hulks, where he I think takes Absorbing Man, Tatiana, and I think someone else. I think it's some Asgardian one, but I'm not entirely certain. So yeah, he appears regularly, I would say, but he doesn't really like take much of our attention. It's just I don't want to say he's just a giant dumb monster. Since again, like he is almost intelligent in like Hulk and the Angels of Smash, but he's just sort of a regular like appearance, regularly used character, nothing more. So yeah, and then there's also the fact that MCU and him, but let's be honest to ourselves, we really shouldn't be judging characters based on the MCU post Phase 3 appearances. But yeah. Anyways, then we have Abracadabra from DC Comics. I would put him in I'll put him in D tier because he's like, no, like he's a Flash rogue, but unlike a lot of other rogues like Captain Boomerang, Captain Cool, and all the other ones, he's sort of like he's there, but he's also kind of not there. Or at the very least, the writers don't really want to overuse him, a lot of stuff. So you get him like a few times. Maybe he'll have an appearance like in Batman with the Bolt Key. I think had 2 episodes where he appeared. I think it was more of like a short, also like I think it was like 5 minutes to short before the opening, or and maybe a one where he had like a, I think it was like a short episode with Flash, him facing up against Flash, or actually they were both 5 minutes long episodes. But regardless, he so just appears there. He appears in Young Justice, where they gave him a more, a more handsome kind of appearance, but he's still just, honestly, I think they just took away a bit of his magic stuff because he's supposed to be from the future and use futuristic technology to make himself like he's using magic, but it's just science. But in the Young Justice, they just sort of made him more like this. They sort of took away all the magician appearance from him, I guess, to make him more fit more into this world, but still kind of just looks weird. Well, I'm not a very big fan of it. Like, this is more, I feel like, recognizable image, but I feel like they could have kept them with a bit more wizard-like appearance. So yeah, anyways. Then we have Acronix from Lego Ninjago Hands of Time season, and I put Acronix here because I like him okay. I like the little fun little thing they the dynamic they gave him, where he was the guy from the past, but he's now in the future, so he's very big, like enjoying the new modern stuff with the headphones and the watches and all that. But he himself, is barely able to use it because he's a guy from a different time period completely. Like, at least his brother lived through the development of all this technology, and at least he had to been forced to use it for their plans. But he just sort of is like, oh, they are neat. Like, it was like an interesting little thing they gave him, and they gave him like a decent enough fight and all. But all in all, it was just sort of, again, he's just sort of decent, nothing special. Then we have Disaster Thrower, and I'm going to put them in C tier because well, should I put him in? Nah. I think they done him good enough. Like, I think he works. Like, his design is fine. The danger they gave him to win is very nice to see. Like, Win getting some kind of threat, but okay, he's one of these villains who's sort of just there to kind of show off a character. Like, despite being the third seed, he's really just there to be like the character be used to like show us Crimson's intelligence and the danger that they are facing and how you can overcome them. It's kind of meant to be like a pretty early showing that character's power is not just going to matter when it comes to deciding these fights. So he's ranked. So yeah, that's all he really serves, and he did his job decently. Alright, then we have Albedo from Overlord, and I really want to rank her higher, but she's just kind of a waifu. That's all that she's really is. She doesn't really do much in the stories. She's just sort of presented. Like, even when there is a bit of a focus on her, granted it might be more of an issue with the anime adaptation, but even when she doesn't get focused, she doesn't really like contribute much. She's just there, and she just do her own stuff, and how she's kind of like she is Momon's biggest mistake. He's Ainz's biggest mistake, because she's acting in a way that he reprogrammed her, and he feels very guilty about it. So every of her antics are his own fault. But again, like, it's not the character itself. Like, the most interesting part is that she might be betraying other supreme beings if she supreme beings, because she's so loyal to Ainz. So it's kind of interesting enough, but not really the best long term for the character. It's just sort of So I'm gonna have to put her in C tier. Like, again, nothing bad about her. It's just she doesn't really have much of an appeal. Like, at least these four have like very interesting, like have all these fun, but Albedo are just standard. Then we have Alito from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, yeah, Zexal, and he is, your standard like mini rival in the even organization. You know how like Ichigo has Ukyo, that's his rival, but he also then has Grimjaw. Alito is the Grimjaw to Yuna Uni to the main character of Zexal, and he was decent in there. Like he had the battle boxer archetype, and he was basically and he was a very combative. He was a very blatant like rival character. There's nothing special about him though. There is like a little bit of a hint about him like being from the time period of Olympians. Well, not Olympians, but Rome and all that stuff. So there is something interesting about that. And also his dynamic with another one of the Baryons, the guy with the fist. I can't remember exactly his name. Like the little friend dynamic, the two of them shared was very interesting. Although it's kind of funny where he was sent after, and you kind of get the impression in the first episode like he's meant to be taken as the stronger one, but then the guy with the arm is very clearly the better fighter. Like even if you ignore the brainwashing, him refusing to fight in the at the end of the story, you kind of get the impression that that other guy was actually a stronger dueler than he was. But yeah. Anyways, then we have Anaconda from Marvel, who is I gotta. It's just like another one of those. She's just sort of a brawling villain here. In fact, I think Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes is the first appearance. She is the only appearance she had outside of comics. So yeah, and she's a member of the Serpent Society. And her serpent thing is like she can stretch her arms and wrap around, and she's kind of like again the more the brawler type. And she's a very fun no, not fun character. That's giving her a character arc. It's just she's decent. Like she doesn't really do much. I really wish that we would get a Marvel project that actually like the focus and develop the Serpent Society, because after the video I watched of a YouTuber like breaking down the origins of Serpent Squad and Serpent Society, I really like the group, and I wish we would see more of them. And they were originally supposed to be in the Captain America movie until the movie got so reshoot. The only thing they could really do is just take a popular actor and make him give him the name of a member of the Serpent Society, and that's it. So I do wish that we get more appearances from Anaconda, but there's really nothing to her. She's just a fighter. In their first appearance, she's just there to like set up or start the mystery about, wait a minute, something is going on behind the scenes with something's happening behind the scenes, because they were informed. This episode was informed that Viper was wanting this episode to like meet up and join and regroup with Hydra, but that was a false. Then she appears when they are breaking out Viper and Cobra, which there's a bit of a funny scene with her, because like they are there to break them out, and the Serpent Society is like distracting Captain America and Spider-Man while she's in the back like grabbing them out. But the first one that she seems to have wanted to free was the AIM scientist. I don't know if this was meant to be a hint to maybe the AIM scientist becoming Sidewinder in the future or something. Or this was like a scrap idea, but it's kind of funny how she first into to free that guy, and only then. Especially since I believe the way they were seeing was arranged was like Viper and Cobra on one side and the scientist on the other side. So that guy was the first one, but I don't know, just kind of a funny little thing. And then we see her again in the Yellow Jacket episode where she's just being beaten by them and captured. Again, like there's nothing really to say about her. It's just I wish that she had more appearances. Then we get Arnim Zola, who I will put. I'll put Arnim Zola here. I do like his design, and I do think like Marvel wants to make him a bit bigger of a character, since like in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, he was just sort of like the tech guy who didn't really do much. Like he did the monsters in Baron Zemo's first episode with Captain America returning and joining the Avengers, but then he just appeared a few times when Masters of Evil was shown as like a cameo until I want to say until the Accentress seeks revenge, where she hunts him down. That's how we like post credits. Well, post the opening credits, we get her confront him. So, and that's how she deals with him. She kills him. So, yeah, that's about all that Zola does in the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Kind of disappointed they didn't do more with him, but what can you do? But then in modern series like the Ultimate Spider-Man and Black Panther, they did more with him, give him more of a role and more of an antagonistic kind of position. Like he was definitely more of a high ranking. You definitely get an impression like he was more bumped up in the ranks amongst the villains in those series than he was previously viewed. So yeah, Adam Zola is a decent enough character. Avalo Pizarro from One Piece. Gotta give him. Alright, I really want to put Avalo Pizarro in BT because I really like his Food, I like his design, I like his like treacherous kind of personality. I generally like him, and to me he's the Sanji opponent for the Blackbeard Pirates, but unfortunately he hasn't really done much. Like he's the prisoner that feels like he was like in the last second because the other three who were from Impel Down were all mentioned. He just, I think, appeared literally when we got to see all the entire crew, the Blackbeard Pirates crew. Then then we only got like the bit of a treacherous kind of personality from him. And then we don't see him until Gecko Moria, where he doesn't even confront Gecko Moria. He's like, it's fine, he can rampage all he wants. It's not until like the Garp rescue mission that he actually does something where we find out he wants to like kind of get his name out there by thwarting hitting the Garp rescuing attempt with him like slamming everything down with his giant hands. And yeah, he was decent, but there's nothing I could really rank him. We didn't see enough of him. Azula from Avatar. I mean, I feel like there's the thing. While I like Azula, it's why I put her at the top of A tier. I'm not exactly the biggest like Azula Glazer. I definitely like her personality, her fighting, her design, her her strategy. How she's also like a physical threat, but also a strategic threat. Like you really do get the idea that if you really get the idea that she is the second biggest threat to the Avatar team. Like that's very well communicated to everyone. You can definitely see why she's the favorite one. Just in general, I don't think you can really say anything bad about her. And I do like how they're not like having her be redeemed in the comics. So they're definitely like showing that she didn't like get she's not getting kind of a complete redemption. She's still her. So I do like what they're doing with her and everything, but she's just not one of my favorites. Sorry, but in Nasty, you're also going to be one of my personal fan favorite. Well, my personal favorite. So, and she is just not that. Then we have Baron Zemo from Marvel. AOS with him. Well, we are really getting heavy hitters now, huh? So, Baron Zemo, he's one of my favorite. He's definitely my favorite Captain America villain. I like his sleek design, like the pink purple combination. I like the character they gave him in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I even like the story they gave. Well, the first story they gave, the Masters of Evil story, and his not redemption, but his like conclusion in Avengers just Assemble. I like those story with him, but MCU version of him he's just sort of there, and then the continuation with the Black Panther I'm just not a fan of. Although that might not be the same one because actually no, I think he did get younger. I don't think we see his face after, so it's unclear if he got just more life in him back. But regardless, it's kind of I'm not a fan of the Black Panthers. What they did with Baron Zemo's character, it kind of just feels like they want a shocking twist. But yeah, I have to put. But yeah. But anyways, the Earthrise Heroes and the Assemble version of Baron Zemo are definitely great villains, and I definitely like put them high. But I don't think I can put them in S tier. It's just like even Azula, I would say Actually, I would put Azula above Baron Zemo because I feel like at least she's handled better than he is being handled. So yeah. Then we have Asna from Bleach, and yeah, he just falls here with the villains. Like he's a guy, he's very simplistic. He has a fear power that's very cool and very intimidating. Thing and yeah, he has like a little backstory about him. He was on the death's bed until Yuha showed up and gave him power to be able to do more and to interact and everything. And yeah, that's about it for his character. He's very simplistic, but he's simplistic and enjoyable. And I do like his design. His like final Eldritch Abomination forms to be better than anything else. So yeah, he was decent enough. Then we have Dark Might. Dark Might, I'll put him in BT. I definitely liked him in the movie. I like how he like does the whole pose like a stereotypical superhero and kind of goes through all the outfits that All Might wore and also some of his own like combinations. Like I think it was not handled really well. It's just it's a movie. You can't really do much with a movie. You are very limited with the screen time and what you can do with a character. And I do feel like the movie used them pretty well. I do wish there would be more, but that's just the difference between a movie and an arc in a manga. So yeah. Anyways, then we have Captain Boomerang from DC, and he's another one of those villains who appears quite frequently in media, but he's never really like the focus of the character. Like he appeared in a lot of Suicide Squad groups, but he'll just become a comedy relief. Maybe he'll like have a dick measuring contest with that shot, but that's about it. Like he doesn't really do much more outside of that. So he unfortunately cannot be ranked very highly, but he's likable enough, and I'll put him. Here I'll put him here. Like I think he's a reasonable enough. It's reasonable to put in someone here, but he's really nothing special. Absorbing Man. Like I said, this is another like. Actually, kind of funny how Absorbing Man in the Avengers Mightiest Heroes, he was like teamed up and like the left hand to the leader with Avengers being the right hand, but in the Hulk and Agent of Smash, he's the a part of Abomination's group. So yeah, kind of so yeah. So about Absorbing Man, there's nothing more I can't really say much because he's just that. Like he absorbs stuff and he's like a big fighter. Again, he's like one of those villains that appears a lot, and you can tell that the people really like him, or at least he's a favorite when it comes to be used in arcs. Because like in the very first Hulk movie, he appears as the main villain, and they changed him greatly because in that movie they also made him Bruce's father. But yeah, then we have Avengers Mightiest Heroes, like which I stated. He's the first one you have to fight the Hulk until the Hawkeye and Black Widow show up. He then becomes like the left hand to the leader, and then absorbs Mjolnir, and then fights Thor. And then you have Hulk and Angel Smash, where he's like I won't say like a semi-recurring villain, and in I believe Spider-Man 2017, he's also a semi-recurring villain there. So yeah, he's just decent. There's nothing special about him. Ulta Zora. So this is Tataka's partner in crime, and while I feel like Tataka really works with the amount of screen time he got, Ulta Zora, he, I'll put him here. I like Ulta Zora. He's kind of a mad scientist type of character, but not fully. He's more of a chemist. So yeah, he has like a fun aspect about his sadism and personality, and that's like he definitely has aura. Like, why you could easily say that he's the weakest from the remaining fighters. I definitely feel like he shows us why he's the one that's on the upper echelons. Although, funny enough, I think he will stand to have been like a very like natural a genius in terms of like uh turning into a dragon, because I think he said that he only needed 2 months to fully mature, while others required more time, which we do see in the manga, because like in one flashback when him and Tartaksha were like looking at the battlefield that they met Ultimata and lost their queen, he was already fully matured while Tartaksha was still in his dragonite state. So which actually kind of is funny when you think about it, that Tartaksha wasn't fully dragonized, because it means that he was like kind of like, I mean, I guess it makes sense that he would be walking around rampaging, because like it's not like that the lower ranks are not, or the non-fully matured ones are not allowed to do their stuff. It's just you kind of don't get the impression that that intimate. You know, you just kind of don't get the impression that the non-fully matured ones are like running around as much. Like I don't think they're even, are they even mentioned? Like I want to say that Ultimatia mentions Centipede and one, but I don't think she does. So yeah. Anyways, then we have Corsac from RWBY, one of the Fox brothers, and yeah, I'm just gonna have to put him in D tier. Like he has a cool enough design. They cut, and at the beginning they gave him and his brother a pretty cool like presents, and they were decent in the fights when there was an attack on the Beldam Manor, but afterwards he was sort of just kind of there. Like he didn't really do anything that notable in the fight. I guess it's interesting the fact that he seems to have a lot more of a physical bulk up than he appears, because he was able to like clash fists with Gira, who, you know, if you've seen Blake's father, you know the guy has muscles. So it's kind of an interesting thing, but he's just sort of there. Like his weapon is just like a little like, I want to say dagger that blows wind or fire, but that's about it to him. He's really nothing. I'm kind of honestly, I kind of really wish that season 4 and 5 would be a bit more fleshed out in terms of writing, or at least better writing than they were in general, because it will probably help him be stand out. But as it is, he's just sort of there. Then we have Creepy Heap from the Deep, and this is pure bias. I just like Creepy Heap as a monster, and yeah, Creepy Heap. Well, funny thing about Creepy Heap is he's a villain who's technically the main villain of the story. Isn't the one wearing the outfit, because the ones wearing the outfit are just some prison prisoners that broke out of jail and are like using the outfit to like scare anyone if seen, but also get to like the ship to have them shipped off somewhere else. So yeah, he's just kind of, so yeah, he's a okay monster, but I do wish that we get back, because like I think like one of those characters that really didn't he really aged badly from the quality of animation on that, because like well, I feel like he could probably been scary in when you like look at from when you were a child and during the 70s, but no, it's kind of like, okay, how many redesigns did they of characters did they grab? Like the color schemes just do not work very well. It kind of like looks too calming. But I do kind of wish that we get like a sort of redone of the character. You know how like Be Cool Scooby had like a lot of monsters that they were like redoing them, like Alice Kingston, Space Cook. I really wish the Creepy would be like one of those that gets eventually redone. But what can you do? I also really do find he's like the most fitting monster, because you don't even know what she truly is, just some kind of sea beast combining different stuff. Alright, then we have Cyrus from Pokemon, Diamond and Pearl. Where to rank him? I I want to put him in B, because I'll put him in B tier behind Ryan, but behind of Asnod, because well, here's the thing. I like Cyrus and Nav, but he doesn't really like. He has the oomph and the gravitas, but it's sort of lesser. Unlike Giovanni, who at least is like recurring and is like has enough of a presence. Cyrus really feels like he could have had that, but just doesn't. It also doesn't help how a lot of his manga stories just sort of end with him just sort of going away somewhere. Like I think in the manga, he literally just adopts his three admins and just goes somewhere else to live in, and hasn't reappeared since. Then there's some version where he just goes live into a different dimension and just like he has gravitas. It's just I don't know why. It just doesn't feel like he has enough charisma. Although to be fair, there is a bit of a charisma there with him being so cold and everything, but he doesn't really do anything special or anything to make it like stand out. Stand out. Like you remember the team. I would definitely say Team Galactic is like second or third best villain teams in Pokemon, but I just don't feel like he has like enough of a presence like Giovanni has to be considered any higher. Then we have Atuma from Marvel, who I think who is I wouldn't say Nemo's arch nemesis, but he's also kind of a he's also kind of a weird character because he appears. I would say in quite a few series, like I think he appeared in Fantastic Four: The World's Greatest Heroes in Nemo's second episode. And there's that Avengers Assemble, obviously, where this is taken from. And then there's also the Black Panther thing where they, I think, completely redone his character because in previous I think he was like defeated and dethroned, but in that one he was the king and kind of looked like he was more reasonable, more righteous than what he actually is. He doesn't have the fact they turned him from blue to purple, but what can you do about that? So it's kind of a thing, but yeah, Tuma. I want to say he's another like one of these like C tier, but on the higher spec of things because he doesn't really do anything all that interesting. Like he's just sort of he's fine as a character. There's really nothing to write home about. Then we have Katarina from Delico's Nursery. Katarina. I'm sorry, I just gotta have to put her in C tier. I think Katarina is supposed to be the guy that she. Katarina, I'll put her here. Katarina is a decent enough antagonist. I do believe she's my second favorite from the Pendulum group. And she's fine. It's just, she's sort of just sort of in the background. And then she just wants to talk about Jules and his backstory and everything 24/7. And that's really where her character begins and ends. She's just Jules' lover, essentially, and nothing more. She has enough style, and I like how she like moves and all, but Katarina, that's about it for the character. Not to mention a more bulky figure does make work very well, but it's just she's just sort of there. Like she's fine. It's just I don't know. Like there's nothing really to make it that appealing above the very simplistic sense. And similar goes to Jules. He's your standard tragic character with a tragic backstory, tragic past, and you feel, and he has similar to Katarina, he has a cool enough presence and all. It's just, it's just there's nothing really revolutionary done. If you get described, you really will not feel. They fill their roles and they fit their story archetypes as best as you would imagine, but that's really about it for the two of them. There's really nothing else to say. Anyways, then we have Avalanche from Marvel, and he's a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, one of their more iconic members, I would say, because he appears in like I want to say he's a pretty regular appearance in that group. In the original animated series, he was in that group, in the Evolutions, in the X-Men, and Wolverine in the X-Men, although in that one he was sort of just like kind of a blind muscle character who didn't really do much. I think he even spoke just a few times in the story and all, but yeah, he's just I like him enough. I like the power. I like his designs. It's just he doesn't really do anything. Like in Evolutions, they tried to give him something with dating Katie and that whole thing, but then they just sort of abandoned the whole thing in season 3, and then he's just sort of just kind of there. So yeah. Then we have Aran Hikio, who I'm gonna put in E tier because he's awful, but I wouldn't say so awful to a point of like being in trash because he's an unlikable character. Like he has all like rants about the power of friendship, while he himself is actively like everything but that. His disloyalty, what he uh, does to why am I blanking on his name? On to I guess these rival character is despicable, but he's just sort of meant to be like the subversion of the tropes and kind of like he's a well, not really subversion. He's just sort of using the tropes in for these kind of stories, but he doesn't use them in a negative way. But that's about it. In the first part, or at least what the anime covered so far, he was just annoying. Then he like does one very despicable thing, but then he just sort of after the time skip, just kind of the punching back. Like D easily beat him. Then yeah, he got again easily beat by Angel once he did his this time we'll be reborn because D was my one mistake. You know, everything about him was a mistake, but yeah. But anyways, Hikiro is just there. He's just boring enough and bland to not put him in trash tier, but outside that he's just nothing. Then we have Odin from Record of Ragnarok, and alright, the whole reveals that we had with Record of Ragnarok about Odin's scheme and what was going on is so goddamn awful that he has kind of soiled the taste of a lot of people, I want to say. And even up to where we are in the anime, he doesn't really do anything spectacular. So I'm gonna have to put him in. The thing is, none of these characters really give. I don't really hate any of these in DT, while E characters are where I really kind of start to hate or dislike the character at least. So I want to put, and I don't really like the whole plot with him so far, especially since it feels like it's like one of those things where it's like, is this really the most logical way to approach the whole situation with the whole thing? And yeah, I gotta put Odin in ET for now. Maybe it'll change once we get to his actual round, but so far I really am not a fan of him. So yeah. Anyways, then we have Ayunir Aoeri C tier because like I really don't know what to say about them. Like it's just they are again they are serving as like the first like boss fight for the protagonist, the first big enemies in the arc, but they are not really anything outside of a very interesting design and a very good moment for Rukia. But outside of that, they're really nothing. Them being from the previous generation isn't really brought up. I think that's something we learned after they're already dead. With Zumai be like, oh, the final of the previous generation of the Espada has fallen. In their name, I'm killing Rukia. So yeah, that's about it for them, and they're really nothing. Like, you can tell that they are on the lower spectrum in terms of Espada members, and yeah, and that's where they belong. All right, then we have Anissa from Invincible. Where to put Anissa? Alright, admittedly speaking, I don't think she's that awful. For as to put her like DE or even trash. Like she's a terrible person, and what she does to Mark in the comics is, if you know, you know. So it's not like, but she's a villain, so I'm not like gonna pretend like she needs something. It's something weird. So she's decent antagonist. She served her purpose when she was coming to him. And I think she even did a better job at trying to convince Mark. Well, not convince Mark, but at least she did make a better case for why they would want to join what the Avengers and Omni-Man did. And she was generally like very powerful and very intimidating, but after that, when they are living on Earth and all, and that scene, I really think she just sort of went down. Like, she went from a character that could be very nice and very high ranking, but then that show just destroyed any kind of taste. Not even like the awful action. It's more the aftermath. So I'm gonna have to put her above Asuna. I'm gonna have to put her above Asuna. Like, she's fine. It's just from back to the Ragnarok. I'll put him here. I like him enough. Like, he's just supposed to be the embodiment of the god's arrogance. He's nothing. He's just meant to be like the guy who finally gets slayed by a human. He's nothing special. He's nothing to really write home about. So him just being in C tier makes it just kind of fitting because he's really nothing. Deborah, I'm just gonna put in D tier because again, she's she's a minor villain in a movie. She can't really do much. The only reason why I put her above the rest of the Golini family is because at least she does something and we get a bit more of a personality and she's more integral to the schemes of the main bad guy. You know, like her brainwashing the girl and all that, and you know, putting half of the cast into like that dreamscape. You know, there is something there. So she, I think, does deserve to be a bit higher than them, and why I'm putting her in the top of D tier. But there's really nothing else to say about. She's just a MILF. Then we have Gaia Truman, who I would put in double B because I really like her personality. I like her more ballerina style, and the way she uses water is very nice. And I do like, despite her being technically the weak one, because she's very much meant to be more reconnaissance, more getting the power to power everyone and all that. She's still reasonably capable, and generally her design is sweet, especially how she talks with her. Oh, Gaia isn't a good girl; she's a bad girl. So yeah, I do like. So Gaia was definitely a very nice character. I do like her. She was very enjoyable. Then we get to Cracker, who is another very fun character. I liked Cracker. I really wish we got a bit more of him from him, but I get it. He was meant to be like give us a taste of what the power that the commanders had, because previously we didn't really get a good taste of it. We just had like an overwhelming story of a commander, but now we can actually get them to face off against Luffy, and I think he was a very nice opponent towards them and gave us a very good idea of like what the Big Mom Pirates are gonna be, and a really nice like book start with him. I like his design, I like his fighting style, I like the fact that he makes like an army of Crackers biscuit soldiers, as well as the reason why he has an army of biscuit soldiers is because he cannot handle damage. So it's a very nice little kind of hint to how he's gonna have to be defeated. Like, you're essentially going to have to get one strong blow because it's gonna be difficult otherwise. But yeah, I definitely do like. I think he was definitely handled well, and I do wish that he would do more instead of just reappearing in one cover story where he just gets off-screened by Aokiji, and then oh my god, what the anime did with him being his Gakubit soldiers being destroyed by Van Alga's bullets was just idiocy. But what can you do? I definitely want to see more of him and give him more of a spotlight, but that's it for now. So yeah, anyways, then we have Yukiya Suzukiri. Like, I don't want to put her in D tier, but you know what? I'm gonna put her here. Like, she's fine. I like the jokes with her. I like the little like the feminine charms that she uses on other characters. She definitely is a very. She definitely knows the type of character she is in, and she's able to use it very well. And generally, she's very. I do like her a lot. It's just she's kind of a Makima type of character where you know something is wrong, and you know she's scheming something, but you don't know, and really what can characters do against her so far. So I can't really rank her highly in that. So yeah, she's fine enough. Then we have D from Goku Loser Ranger. Can't find that he's still back to back, and yeah, A tier. Like, I like his character development. I like how they show his weakness and how they're having him fight despite his weakness, as well as his ship shifting abilities. Generally, whenever ship shifting is being used to its fullest, it's nice to see, because ship shifting is like one of those phases where it kind of feels like it's more for the plot and for like the who the traitor is kind of twist. But here, I think he deploys it really well, and generally speaking, I do like how he got a lot more badass post time skip after his like training arc. So I do like the. I would almost put him in S tier, but I don't think he deserves to be in S tier. So yeah, as of yet. Anti-Monitor, he's just a plot device to me. He's just like a big threat to cause for a reason for there to be like a for multiverse to be used and someone to be for a big, threat for everyone that needs to work together to defeat. Like he's really nothing special. Like they give him backstories, but they are kind of just, it's kind of like Unicron's backstory in the original series. It's like fine, but you don't really kind of care. It's just a big boss fight. Kiwi from Gushing on Magical Girls goes into A tier, obviously. She has a fun design, she has a fun personality. You like her Yuri antics. I like her like weapon, her power being basically guns. Her final fight with just to get gone into the season is very nice, if you know what I mean. And generally speaking, she's a very fun character. Yeah, she's just fun. Then we have Hajun, who is another. To me, Hajun is just another Poseidon type of character. He's nothing really special. He's just a big bad guy for Buddha to beat. He's just meant to be like there is some thematic sense to him. Like there is a thematic purpose and there's like a lore purpose because Hajun, I believe, is a demon that tried to like sway Buddha in the mythology away or something. I don't know. There's like a bit of a confusion. Oh, Papia. I know there's a bit of a confusion about which demon he is or what name they use for him. But regardless, it's just Hajun is. I bought this guy. His sadism is kind of just fun as much as you. If you like Poseidon's sadism, you're gonna like Hajun. But at the end of the day, he's just sort of up there and doesn't really have a strong impact. Then we get to Loco Musica, who's another A-tier villain. I like her personality, I like her design. I like the jokes, especially the last one, the last chapter, which I think is over a year old after since we started Haters, but she's just a fun character. I just like her, and generally her antics are nice, especially since she's kind of like the kind of the comedy relief one of the duo, but she's kind of also the responsible, more mature one. So yeah, she's just a fun character. Angstrom Levy. Yeah, I think. Yeah, here I think this is reasonable for Angstrom. Like he's he could be considered Mark's arch nemesis. From like alright, who is Mark's Lax? Who is Mark's Joker? But Angstrom, I don't think he even comes close to that like tier of villainy. He's just sort of there. His original plan was, alright, you question how much of his scummy part was the fact that he only showed up to save them and let everyone else to be slaughtered, but yeah, but now after his whole brain thing, he's just sort of became a giant hypocrite and just became kind of cartoonishly evil. I mean, I won't even say he's a bad villain. I think there's nothing appeal towards it. It's just like one of those times where it really feels like you're just sort of forcing conflicts and stories for the sake of them. Like you want Mark to fight someone that travels through different universes. So Angstrom Levy, he's gonna have that purpose. And that's gonna be a decent enough fight. He is also a very important character for Mark's development because he's like the first time where Mark faces a villain that he legitimately feels like he needs to kill because every time Angstrom shows up, he like it very much targets his family and he puts his family in great danger. Like first time, what he did to Dabby. Then he put the entire Earth in danger because he sent the evil Invincibles to destroy everything. So he's not very important for Mark's character, and all it's just he himself as a villain is sort of reasonably entertaining. Although you can still roast him for him whole thing about trying to destroy the good Invincible, but then there are like evil Invincibles that he just sort of ignores completely, which to be fair is meant to be the point, but still, it's just sort of nothing. Right, 50% done with the list, so it's time that we get to the other half. And then we have Carol from Symphogear, which, just like how I have a high view of her minions, I also have a high view of her, putting her in my S tier. Yeah, I would have put up a multi-comma. Yeah, I like her design, I like her personality, I like her backstory, and generally speaking, I like the dominant presence that she has, especially when she returns in the 5th season, where she first wants to have a requiem for her lost auto scores because she viewed them so low, but then those noble red girls want to attack her, but she just obliterates them without even standing. Like, she just is standing and singing, and she obliterates them like an orchestra. So I definitely think she was a great character, and I do like her little how she kind of parallels herself and Hibiki with their parents, because her father died. He was like the most pure and loving father you could possibly get, while Hibiki's father abandoned him as soon as things got rough. So I definitely like the contrast between the two of them, and I do think she was handled very well. Then we get XX from Gogo Loser Ranger. I am going to put her. The thing about XX is, while she appears and has like a story, and that's very interesting, like premise about her being from a, they were developed to be soldiers and to for one mission, or at least that's what she believes. I'll not get into what the manga revealed recently, but I do feel like Access just never really takes enough the spotlight. Like, she is there, but and has that, you want to see more of her and you enjoy her, but there's really nothing special. Like, she's so adorable as this like little sister who wants to act, but as soon as the right guy pins her down, she's all flustered. So it's definitely interesting she's definitely interesting and fun. Has a very striking design as well. Makes you kind of wonder where she got the idea for this look, if I'm being totally honest. Maybe it's a hint. I don't know if they revealed if she resembles other. Well, I'm going into things that shouldn't be, but regardless, I do think she functions really well, and I do hope we get to see her. I do wonder how we're gonna end her story, how we're gonna get more of her, but for now we don't really have enough to add anything. Then we have Alphonse from Delico's Nursery. He's just a big brute with a weird mask who sends fire sometimes. That's really it for him, for his character. He's just there to be the giant to Kiki's little girl routine. So there's nothing else to say about him. He's just kind of there. Then we have Sentinel Prime, who I don't know if I could describe this guy as like got glow up or got downgraded. Because in the original series, or what they retconned to come later, is that Sentinel Prime was to be well, that like in the Five Faces of Darkness, that robot was the predecessor to Orion, that was renamed into Sentinel Prime. And he was, kind of a generally good guy. Like, from what we could tell, he was just he was a stereotypical hero. But then he lost but then he got killed, they lost the Matrix, and in the manga they gave, in the comics they gave, gave the Matrix to Orion, and all, but then, the anime happened, and they needed, like, a douchebag to be, for the story, so they decided, well, they were first thinking about Rodimus Prime, but then, because Rodimus Prime was a bit of a fan, he was really a fan favorite, but, he's a bit more of a significant character, they decided to use someone else because they thought it would kind of say worse. It's kind of like what they are doing with Legend of Korra if they break around packs. Like, of course, Oi dislikes, so he's having her say that she ruined the world really the best idea. So, same thing with Orion not Rodimus Prime. He's kind of a controversial leader, so he's having him be a douchebag with the Bastille, so instead they just picked another Prime, which was Sentinel Prime, which, to be fair, from what I don't think they were planning on making him into a villain in the fourth season. At least I think it was supposed to be the fourth season or whatever the season was going to be after. They were just they were just going to have him have a fall, which could mean a lot of things. He could just be defeated or something, or maybe his scheme would be completely like to like defeat which would completely be destroyed. But unfortunately, I got that. But in the new last few projects with Central Prime, he's unabashedly the villain. In the video game, they make him into the villain. In the movie, they made him, and in Channel One, they made him an even bigger villain. Like at least previously, you could kind of say that he had good intentions, but now he's just been turned into a villain. And I would say he was made into a decent one. He is sort of, yeah, I would say beat. Yeah, no, I'm gonna. You know what? I think I. You know what? I think I changed my mind. I think I will do. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I like this better. Yeah, yeah. I kind of think I've been overranking them. Like I like them, but yeah, I think Santa Prime works far better with this arrogant trio here. So yeah, yeah, I would think CT is a lot better for Sentinel Prime. He was a decent antagonist. He was just you know, he's like a decent antagonistic character to be the Prime before Optimus. But that's about it for him as a character. Like there's nothing spectacular. He's just a vain narcissist a lot of times. Or these things that survival is above all other creature survival and all. Then we have Adam from Hazbin Hotel, and I'll just put him in B tier because alright, I'll put him in B tier above Anissa but below Access because he's an entertaining enough character. Like in a like while you can question a few things about how they handle the first man, I do think they do at least give him like a from an isolated standpoint, I think he's fun enough. Like I do like how his design, I like how he fights. I generally like the whole rock and roll aesthetic that he has. Generally speaking, I think he's a decent character and a decent first the villain for the first season. I do feel like he should have been a bit more of a presence because like you have the first episode with him and you know his appearance now he's got to destroy it earlier because he found out one of the angels got killed, but then he kind of disappears until like the final two episodes, I want to say. And that's about it. Just doesn't really have enough of a presence. Not to mention, I feel like the revelation that there really doesn't seem to be any standards to go into hell and heaven kind of ruins the whole redemptional thing when you break it down. It's at the end of the day, it seems like hell and heaven could be the same place. It's just for some reason heaven is better maintained in hell. So yeah, it's kind of like different. He was entertaining enough. He's entertaining. He is definitely like kind of like Ryan here. Then we have Ironside from Four Nights of the Apocalypse, and he's. I gotta put him up at him. Like, I like Ironside in the perspective. At least there is an attempt to give him death, and the tragedy of his like devotion, desire to save his son, resulting him forgetting his son. There's definitely an appeal to him, but he just doesn't have the presence. Like it feels like we are sort of he's meant to kind of be like the evil antagonist, but they're also trying to make him like sympathetic. But every time in terms of him being sympathetic, just doesn't have the same oomph to make you really kind of feel it. You can just understand. It's kind of the reason why people are questioning if how much he truly cares about anyone else or how much he cares about people that he expresses like he cares because really it's kind of difficult to truly say that he does at the end of the day. So Ironside, unfortunately, I kind of can put him higher, and he's decent. Like there's, I mean, his design is decent enough. Holy Knight and the whole summoner ability is an interesting villain because you usually don't see summoners be the main, like kind of these big bads. But outside of that, he's just nothing. He's kind of like just a punching bag honestly, for the most part, like just someone for the characters to fight off against. But yeah, that's about it for him as a character. There's really nothing more I can say about him. And then we have Lord Enorme from Gushing over Magical Girls. And yeah, so Lord Enorme is, I want to kind of say, a parody of a lot of like these villain archetypes. Like you have the generic evil for the sake of evil villain that's just there to be the main villain for the first season. Nothing special, nothing complicated. But then you also have her kind of be the whole, we will make a grandiose world, we will make a brand new world, you know, make those kind of speeches. So there's a bit of a comedy about them, those characters, and how they like act. Like you're meant to take them seriously, but then when you actually kind of think about it, like, can you guys act like a little less dramatic? I mean, come on, act your ages. So it's definitely so that is kind of a very fun aspect about her, especially when they play her straight at the beginning, but then they have her final fight with Baiser, and then you have Baiser just be like, "Damn it, my power is based on horny, but this character has nothing to make me horny." My God, she's just kind of annoying. Like she makes these grandiose speeches that I barely follow. And why is she posing like that? I mean, isn't she like in her 20s or something? So it's a very funny thing, especially, and her defeat is definitely the peak of humiliation. Because, like, you know, the way how she just reduced to a child and just spanked for being a bad girl. It's just too funny. So, I definitely don't want to say that she's like. So, I definitely want to put things she deserves to be beaten. Her character development in later on in the story also makes her, I think, better. Makes her a better character with her changing and all that, but yeah, I definitely think she's a character got a very good glow up and very well done. And I think I'll put her here. I think she's a really well made done villain. Like I like the way they kind of went around the tropes and the way they handled her character and all. Then we have Keith from Delico's Nursery. Keith. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to rank Keith. I'm gonna put an E tier. Like I at first I liked the character enough, but then when they succeeded in their attempt, he sort of just became a nothing. Like he had like kind of an aura and charisma, but then after I guess they were being having their first loss, that he just sort of it really kind of feels like there was really no idea behind him outside of just give him a bit of a presence. Like he's carried by aura, but that's about it. He kind of reminds me of Shigaraki, but that's nothing else. He's just sort of there. At least like the other ones have some purpose, but this guy he's just eh. Well, maybe they should be doing him to echt here. Then we have Kiki from Delico's Nursery. I like her. I definitely like her the most out of Pangela. She's entertaining, and I do like how she legitimately did care about the kids and was legitimately protecting them. But then the ending, I think they kind of just I don't want to say ruined her, but they just sort of felt like they had no plans, or at least didn't know what they would do outside of protecting the children's sport. Because then you have her like this weird thing because you have her fight against Julas and well, just kind of Julas, but then they get easily beaten by Dam. Then I think one of them, I think Albert Alphonse gets knocked out even. Then they are suddenly back on their feet to go fight up against the main characters, but then the main characters easily beat them, and they are captured. Then you have like one interrogation scene about how they'll be adults now because they'll not have those drugs to keep them in that like rebellious phase or whatever they're called. But then they essentially just disappear from the story until like the final episode where they are being transported. But then Pendulum's bigger magician comes to break them out, and then they're like paralyzed, and that's it. Like I don't know if Kiki is a character from the stage play, or if she has like a different story, or if she's meant to be like a setup for season 2. Because I believe Delico's Nursery is meant to be like a stage play called Trump. So I don't know if Kiki is from that I could at least not find anything about it outside of, like it's a prequel to that stage play, but that's about it for but that's really about it for Kiki. Like there's just nothing there. It kind of feels like they were like again, I don't really know what the idea is supposed to be. I mean, maybe this is meant to be like a plot for season two, but I don't know. It was never announced there's gonna be a season two, so yeah. Anyways, then we have Sister Gaunt from Gushing on Magical Girls, and okay, the problem with Sister Gaunt is the fact that she's another one of those like mysterious characters who has something big scheme, but you don't really know what. So you can, it's kind of hard to really rank her now. All I can say is that she's entertaining and comical enough in her appearances, and she does have a very striking design. I do like how they kind of like really go into that like fan service aspect they have of Gushing on Magical Girls, but ultimately I can't really rank her or view her highly because again it's mostly a mystery, and I hope we're gonna soon, or once Gushing on Magical Girls returns, we're gonna be able to have some get some more depth to her character, because so far she's just kind of like she's there, but you can't really put her above anything else. Kurogiri, yeah, C tier. Like, I like the tragedy aspect of his backstory with Aizawa and everyone, and it's kind of an interesting like little reveal. I like his powers and how and his designs are a very good one, but the problem with Kurogiri is that he's memorable enough in his like in the first few appearances that he has in the first few seasons, where he's like the bodyguard, the advisor, and the one who's kind of supposed to, help Shiraki. But then after that, he just gets immediately captured, which is I guess meant to be like a sort of showing how down the depths legal villains are for the legal villains arc. But then he's sort of irrelevant until it's revealed that it might be Shirakumo. Then it's Shirakumo is confirmed, but then he's irrelevant until like the very end of the story where they wanna bring him back, where he's just kind of used as a plot device for the characters to get everywhere, to use there for their plots. But it's just nothing more. It's honestly kind of just the tragic and the design stack that makes him anything have any kind of more of a presence than, let's say, Mustard, for example. Like, he really does feel like Mustard, just with a bit more of a character to him. Then we have Zeus from Ragnarok, and when I initially was watching the episode, I wasn't the biggest fan of Zeus, but after the manga and had more time to think about how I view Zeus, I definitely say he went up in my rankings. I definitely like his personality. I like his fight with Adam. Like, I like how different he is. I like how he changes throughout the story, or at least the way how he's kind of being like shows the effect, especially the first fight after the first fight of the third season with his brother. I definitely think the change to his character is very well done. Is very well, and generally I do think he's a very entertaining character. So Zeus, I'll definitely put him. Okay, I'll put him in top of A for now. He definitely went up in my opinion as a character. Okay, then we have Prospera from Gundam Witch from Mercury. I'll put her. You know what? I'll put her here in C tier. Like, the thing about Prospera that she doesn't really have. Like, you can tell. Like, she's similar to Zakir, where you can tell there is something unsettling. There's something about her. She's cooking something behind the scenes, but she doesn't really have much of a presence until she appears, where you can tell something is wrong. And there's definitely like a progression, like the way how she speaks to her daughter. You can see the manipulation. You can see how she schemes things. So, yeah, but then it's not until like the very end where a lot of the enemies sort of just take themselves down, where she actually starts making her moves and starts having a presence. But then that's really about it. She doesn't really do much more after that. It's until she like just cements herself as the main villain with a space weapon to destroy anything and gets Ariel. That's about really about it for the character. And yeah, she doesn't really do anything else. Like, she has a presence, but then it just sort of becomes bland, big bad guy. It's honestly sort of similar to Cyrus, but Cyrus at least has more charisma than she does, in my opinion. But yeah. Then we have Loki from Echo Ragnarok, another top. And I think I'll put him. I think I'll put him between. The thing. Okay, so the thing about Loki is like he's very entertaining in the anime and manga so far, but in the manga then we're finally getting his fight against Simo, and he has definitely started very nice with his introduction and where he chose to come to the fight. But again, we're gonna have to now wait to rank him because now he finally gets all the attention. He finally gets all the spotlight that he's been getting, but now he's getting it fully. So he's definitely. I feel like so where I rank him definitely depends also on what the story does with him not from now on. But unfortunately, we've only started with this fight, and we still need a lot of explanations. But all in all, I would definitely say he's a so far very good villain, especially with his whole personality, his unrequited love towards Brunhilde, and the way he's been done so far. I definitely would say he's a great villain. Then we have Cell War for Mashal and Cell War. No, the thing about Cell War is that he's a villain that's that it's not just that Mashal is supposed to be a story where the underdog, the no power magic underdog kind of takes the underdog kind of shows everyone up. Because someone would probably be a lot more intimidating and a lot more powerful when it comes to actual proper magic users. It's just that this is also uncommon in this area. So, and he's fights Mashal, so he's nothing really all that spectacular. Like he's entertaining and all, and you definitely say he is one of the battle villains overall, but he's just too much used for comedy. Like. It's actually kind of a weird thing. Like in the first season, he was like reasonably used, but then in the second season, when he properly, had a proper like fight, like at the moment where his proper fight started, he was just kind of used as a joke. It's like a thing where he became more of a comedy character after like the big bads were revealed or stuff or like after his loss, because even during his fight, he was just a comedy relief. So. In the first one, it could kind of be justified, but in the second one, it was just lose all of the aura. He was just there. Then we have Hermes from Echo of Ragnarok, who's another like a decent. Again, Hermes is another. Also, I'll put him right next to Sister Gigon because he's a kind of a similar character to Sister Gigon, where you don't really know what his motives are. Is he scheming something? Is he working with something? Like, what angle is going on? Although, to be fair, with unlike Sister Gigan, I feel like it's also possible that Hermes doesn't have any scheme. He's just kind of enjoying the show. But Hermes is, again, like, he's entertaining enough. I like his, like, violin entrance. When he talks and when he, like, interacts, he's definitely a good villain character. And villain, all that. It's just, he doesn't really do much, and... he doesn't, and all in all, he's just Zeus's butler. Like that's really all that he is. He looks like he's dressed like a butler. He serves everyone like a butler. He's just a servant. If there is some kind of deeper scheme, or if he's cooking up something, I mean lines like, "Oh, I would wish to clash or to have a dance off with Shiva." He said in a more elegant way than I did, but he definitely. But it's kind of difficult to say anything about it. I guess you can at least say that outside of the Zeus's brothers trio, he's probably the strongest Olympian. Maybe Apollo is stronger than him, but it's kind of difficult to say for certain for him. But yeah, and speaking of Shiva, we have Shiva next, and Shiva's another top tier villain. Like he's a very interesting villain because he's kind of giving like a sort of a speed run on the whole story with the gods viewing humanity very little, but then throughout the story them changing, because Shiva is one of the gods who in the beginning of the story was destroy humanity. I think he was even the first one who shown, yes, let's destroy humanity. Maybe the second one, I don't know. Him and Aphrodite are like the first two that did that. I'm not for certain, but I don't know if he was the first one or if Aphrodite was the first one. But regardless, he was the first one who proposed to destroy. Regardless, he was one of the first to propose to destroy humanity. But then during the fights, he's gained more and more respect to them, especially to Raiden after their fight, because you know you can't lose 3 of your limbs and then be completely at a dying state, your strongest form, without getting some respect for the human fighter. So yeah, he's very well done. I do think he's shown out to be like the most evil of the gods, and he's kind of like a good boy when you actually think about it amongst the gods, because whenever like Zeus is being unreasonable with his requests, he's just like, ah, damn it, but goes along with them without much of a struggle, just kind of like a basic, no, I don't wanna, okay, I will. So it's fine. It's even like Anubis, where Anubis has such big cry fits. He's just like kind of disappointed, but he's understandable. So I definitely think he deserves to be in top tier, and his backstory is also a very nice one, and how he kind of like holds the wishes and the hopes of everyone in India, I want to say. He's Indian gun, right? Of destruction. But yeah, I definitely. Actually, no, I'll put him in the. So. Actually, I think I like. Yeah, I think I'll put. Yeah, I'll put him here. I'll put him in A tier. Like, first of all, I'm putting him in B tier, but I think I probably should put it. He probably looks better in A tier. I find how like half of for the 8 years just record of Ragnarok help. Is there anyone else? Yeah, I see 2 more record Ragnarok characters there. So yeah, we are still having not done with record of Ragnarok. Yeah, just 2. Yeah, 2. The Anubis kind of confused me if this was record Ragnarok or JoJo's, but it's JoJo's because Anubis did not appear in record Ragnarok yet. In the anime. In the manga, yes, but not in the anime. So Anubis, I kind of just you know, I'll put him D tier. Like, it's not that I don't like Anubis, it's just he's sorta alright. It's interesting that they went with the angle of Anubis is a stand that's in a sword that can possess people, but there is really nothing else. He's just kind of. It kind of feels like the author just kind of wanted Poneglyph and Jotaro to fight against each other, because Poneglyph originally fought Abdul, so they now decide to just give a villain that can control people so he can go up against Jotaro. So that's what the Anubis kind of feels like. He's entertaining enough, and the little jokes about him like now being one blade that can cut, but then just being redirected by string of coincidences until he's falling in the river and just rusts away for an eternity. It's funny, I know, and kind of tragic for this character, but there's really nothing else to say about Anubis. He's just an okay antagonist. Then we have Ares, the comedy relief for Ragnarok, but fortunately, I cannot put a comedy relief character in the A tier, so he's not gonna be in there. We're not gonna make A tier just Ragnarok tier. So I'm going to put him B tier, because like unlike Poseidon and Harjun, who serve their purposes really well in the story, Ares is more, who also serves his purpose very well. He has a bit more depth to him. Like, his relationship with Hercules was very nice, and although I do definitely feel like in the current state of manga, he's a little too comedy relief, because when he first came in, like in round 2 with Zeus, he at least had like this sort of idea that he's a bit more knowledgeable, but now I think they're going him with too much of an idiot who doesn't know anything. So he kind of goes down a notch in my opinion. So I'll put him here, because like I like the character, I like him. It's just I kind of wish he would do more than just not know stuff, you know? Like, come on, like at least in again, I feel like in Zeus's and Hercules's fights, he at least had the basic idea of knowledge, but now he just sort of it feels flanderized. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's gonna improve sooner, but now too much. Alright, then we have Jewel from Fairy Tales. Tower of Heaven arc, I believe, was the arc that he was the main villain in. Yeah, he's it is then. And Joel, like I said, he's an early villains are always gonna be a bit problematic because they're always more simplistic and more comic and more just standard evil. There's not really much more depth outside like maybe a basic tragic backstory or something. So Joel suffers from the time period, but I would definitely say that his character progression afterwards is nice and all, and I do think he had like a reasonable amount of aura. Like this is still early fairy tale, so it's not like he was like one of those villains that was dripping with aura, but he was I think had enough of a presence and a reasonably enough antagonistic figure, but there was really nothing special about him in that arc. He worked well, but that's about it. And I do like his little scheming about the whole brother and the Black Wizard Seraph and all that he did in the arc, but that's really it to his character. Anyways, then we have Neo Alice from Gushing Over Magical Girls. Oh my god, we're just gonna be making this Gushing Over Magical Girls Ragnarok here. Oh no, I think no. Neo Alice isn't that fun to be in 8 here. I just got a little scared that we might be doing this again. But no, I would not put Alice in Neo Alice in 8 years. She's a fun character. Like she's definitely more of a visual joke with her, like her being this like child, but then also kind of being the most dangerous one, the one that's like, oh shit, most of the characters have to be worried about. But there's no, but there's nothing really special. Like there's sweet moments. Like she's stoic mostly, but then there are like the moments where she's being cute or being acting her age. Like in the anime, they added like that scene where like a bot is driving and you have like a bunch of little kids going to go because they find a need, and then Alice joins them. Like that's nice to see, but yeah, she's stoic, then she's cute, and then she's overpowered. There's really nothing else. She's no different than Akatsuki. But because Akatsuki can only talk, there's a bit more entertainment from there. But Neras, because she doesn't talk, she's just sort of, she's a figure enough. So yeah, Neras is decent enough. Yeah, I'll put her. Yeah, I'm comfortable with this pick. Then we have Patrolla, another early villain, not pure evil villain from the beginning of the series. Patrolla, again, he's a decent enough character. You decent enough hate him, but there's really nothing special. His designs are unique and interesting. I like how, despite being an early executive we meet, he's actually has a bit more of a staying power, though. His current manga I'm kind of iffy on, but outside that, he's reasonably enough. I like his effects he has on the characters, and I like how the implications that he gave to characters, but really any executives could have the effect that he got on D. I like his like narcissistic talk, which does me kind of wonder if Patrolla was like a self-righteous priest before he became Patrolla, because I don't believe he was there while he was beforehand, at least. I don't think so, but to be fair, we're just seemingly starting with this stuff, so we'll see if Patrolla is going to be revealed. But so far, he was just there, and I think Patrolla is generally just works well. There's nothing special, and yeah. Then we have Mika from Symphogear. She's a very fun character in Symphogear. I definitely like her a lot. She and Gaia are kind of like a duo with Fire Knights, although she has more crystals than fire, so but it's still kind of an interesting kind of aspect about how they're kind of reversing a lot of things, and yeah. Although Fire Knight, I think like she's meant to be more of a jester like character, because like if you look at the auto scores, they're clearly meant to be like a form of the dance. Like Gala is a ballerina, Luer is a I think a breakdancer is meant to be, but Fire has like that more elegant dress that you see like in like big galas and stuff. So Mika's the one that doesn't seem to have like a set dance, but I kind of feel like she's meant to be like a jester, like the jester dance. But that's just me. And Mika is like again very fun. Like she's very much meant to be like the comedy, but also like kind of like the expressive character, and she fills her role pretty well. Although, uh, I do feel like the whole like her being the strongest is not really played enough because she's meant to be the powerhouse, but I don't think she really says it enough. Although to be fair, the blades of Zabai, well, those seem to be taken like from like a base form, the strongest thing, so I guess it makes more sense. But still, kind of, it doesn't really matter power scale and all that, but still, just kind of a fun little thing to mention. Alright, then we have Zero Fuku, which luckily we are not going to be feeling record of Ragnarok 80 anymore. Good, so we're not gonna have like for just being record of Ragnarok captors. Alright, so Zero Fuku. Zero Fuku, he's a very controversial character because originally Zero Fuku was one of the characters from the Seven Lucky Gods, but then they revealed that, oh, it's Zero Fuku is not the Seven Gods aren't 7, they're actually 8. No, they're actually 1 god, and that's Zero Fuku, who's more of an OC. I don't know if this is like a more popular theory in Japan. Like maybe Japan, people in Japan like Seven Gods are Japanese, right? Well, I don't know if Seven Gods like a big more of a lore thing is with them that they might be an 8-1 and that's like more fair, but because there's no like tax from their ancestors about it being an 8-1, they don't want to confirm it or something. But for whatever reason, the author chose to have Zero Fuku be a character who, despite not being a real figure, and he's just sort of kind of like a placeholder because Hajun later takes over, who's a demon from, I believe, Indian mythology. But yeah, Zero Fuku, he's just an alright cat. I will put Zero Fuku here. I really do not hate Zero Fuku. He served his purpose and all. So I don't think there's anything I'm not gonna rage against him. It's just sort of like a weird thing. Like why not just have I believe Daishamonte? Why not just have him like absorb the free from the very beginning and just have him get their powers? So like maybe damage something into weapons that he just used during the fights. Like give him a mech suit or something. I mean, it's like mech suits are gonna be used later, so I definitely do question like what the purpose of him being created. Not to mention, the thing is, there is a form. I believe the anime changed that to a point he's just getting inside his body and then Zafuku changes into this form. But in the manga, he does get straight up transformation. So why didn't they just keep that and keep the backstory and everything? I guess because Daishimoki looks older, so it'd be kind of a weird because Zerafuku at least looks like a child and acts like a child, but Daishoko is very much a mature adult, so maybe that's why. But again, I feel like there was a better way you could have handled him than just make an OC and then reveal the true villain. So kind of a weird thing, but whatever. Anyways, we did have Alistair Smythe from Marvel, who is like, I want to say one of Spider-Man's C-tier antagonists. Like, you will recognize the character. He appears in reasonable amount, but he's not like gonna be your first villain that you think of. Like, if you were to say, who's your first villain you think of? Green Goblin, Doctor Octopus, Electro, one of those guys. Even top 10, I feel like Alistair Smythe isn't gonna be like your first person you think of, but I would definitely say there's definitely an attempt to make Alistair Smythe into like one of Spider-Man's upper echelons. Like the original animated series had him be a really, well, I wouldn't say made him a very important villain, but at least gave him a lot of aspects, like having his father, us seeing his father dying, him joining Kingpin, making the Spider Slayers, him becoming a mutant, a Spider Slayer himself. That was very not interesting, as well as how he eventually became like in the battle world. We then get like, I think in like one 3D game, he's also the main villain there, where he has like a thing against mutants, but then he gets muted as well, but then he decides to kill himself or something. Then we also have like there's a bit of a period, but I can't tell if the Spectacular Spider-Man not using him is more of a thing where they didn't get the season 3, because I think there was gonna be like a little bit change into the Rogues Gallery in season 3. Like they were going to make a Scorpion, Hobgoblin, and that and the Animal Experimenters kind of take the center stage, because I guess they didn't think they really needed to could do anything with the rogues that they already have, except for Kraven, because Kraven was more of a season 2 antagonist, but and Mysterio, because Mysterio's escaped, but whatever. Alistair's whatever, maybe Alistair's one was gonna be used eventually, but as of now he didn't get used in Spectacular Spider-Man. And then the new, and I don't believe he was used in the Ultimate Spider-Man, but he did reappear in Spider-Man 2016-17, where he was again, it's kind of there. He at first had been more of a antagonist presence in the beginning, but then he was just kind of pushed to the background until he became Spider Slayer again in the Norman's version. But then they were like it's kind of a confusing thing. I mean, maybe I'm forgetting because surprise, surprise, I didn't watch the entire series, but I think it's implied that they got brainwashed by Dark Hawk to have him from Sinister 7, because they also brainwashed Spider-Man. But then they broke free out of. Then they got split up, and then they just sort of. And then they all, I think, got captured, or many of them were teenagers that were just brainwashed. So I don't know. Maybe he appeared as like a in the Goblin Empire story as like one of the guys dressed as Goblin, but I'm not entirely certain. Regardless, Alistair, he's used a reasonably amount, but he doesn't really stand out for many. He's kind of like Abomination and Abomination in that sense, so I'm going to put him above a Chronix. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable. Again, he's used reasonably amount, but I don't think there's many versions of him to like stick out. So next is Azure Lion for Lego Monkie Kid, the most stereotypical fallen hero villain that I've ever seen, and that is not a bad thing. So A tier is definitely for him. I really like his. Yeah, I'll put him in the middle of A tier, because I really do like his character. I like the way how they handled him. He does feel organic and all of that. You can tell there's something suspicious about the guy, but he definitely acts in a way that he makes you believe white characters will not be insanely suspicious, and it is unreasonable. Even after like the big reveal, he still wants it to be like, let's not go into antagonist. Like, I want us to work together, kind of aesthetic. Like, you can't. Maybe he wanted Kid to like replace Monkey King and Macaque spot, because like he wants to reunite the Brotherhood at the beginning when he was like first freed. So maybe he wanted that, but because he knew Monkey King wasn't, he was very vengeful against him. He probably didn't want. He maybe want to offer it to Bull King, but Bull King refused. Like, we don't really see the first interactions, but maybe if Bull King decided to agree, maybe they could like make some kind of arrangements that would work. Macaque they couldn't find, so they just kind of said forget about it. We got the way the scope, they are able to do it, so they don't need them. So maybe he wanted originally, in an ideal world, he maybe wanted Kid to like replace Monkey King, but unfortunately that didn't happen. All he did was that he succeeded in his scheme, but he underestimated the power of the Jade Emperor to a point that he was just losing control, world destroying, he was in pain, and yeah, just things were not going the way he planned. He had the goal, but very little or anything else. And yeah, Azrael Lion just was a very functional villain. So yeah, he's a solid character to represent the fallen hero archetype. Then we have Multiple from Invincible. I put him here. Like, to be fair, I don't dislike multiple or anything. It's just, oh, his design isn't really anything special, and I do like how he uses his powers better than his sister. It definitely kind of like reminds us, oh yeah, multiplication is a dangerous power to have, even if the condition is that you feel all the pain. But due to multiples like where he is, it makes sense that he would be a bit more on the intimidating side, or be able to use it in a more dangerous manner. So I do think that they got that power set very well, and I do like his jumping. It's just the whole blaming Rax for and trying to kill him feels unnecessary. Though that is a very funny line where he's like, like, you almost killed me for nothing. And then multiple is like, I did, to be fair, I killed for less. Even though it's literally nothing for Rax's case. It was literally just a confusion because Kate is a bitch. So yeah, but anyways, there's nothing else. Like his whole Kate thing is really not doing him nothing to make him really likable, but the rest is very enjoyable. I feel like if there wasn't a whole Kate thing, you'd probably, or at least there was a better way to reintroduce him because he did technically in season 1, and give him like a more of a different type of story arc would probably work better. But I don't know, maybe trying to break into the prison where the Lizard League is being held to kill King Lizard, but while in reality trying to help someone else, maybe make him better. But as it's not, he has to be here. Then we have Amanda Waller from DC, and I gotta put her in E tier. I'm sorry, just like I get what she's meant to be. It's just that in a lot of versions she doesn't really do much. She's a character who farms aura basically in a lot of versions, and her whole protect United States of America doesn't really work. It just sort of feels like she's a cheap character that the writers use for their criticism of America and all that. And just in general, there's really nothing all that particular about her. I guess there is some, like, I guess the Justice League Unlimited version gave her a way more interesting aspect. And if this was like a Justice League Unlimited ranking, I'll probably put the version in like A or B tier at least. But as a Waller as a villain in general, she's just kind of there. She's there to, well, she's just sort of as a presence. Like the only real good part is at least she seems to actually believe in that. In some versions, like in many versions, it doesn't even feel like it's like patriotism or anything. A lot of versions feel like she would act the same way regardless of in which country she was or in which government she was. Like it really just feels like it's because it's DC is mostly focused on the America and US. That's why Amanda is more US centric, but that's about it. Then we have Albedo from Ben 10, from multiple states in Ben 10. He was an excellent addition to the Rogues to Ben's Rogues Gallery in Ultimate Alien and Alien Force. He's not, and yeah, he's a fire. I like the kind of dark mirror image of him with the rat and all that, and that stuff it work. Especially with how later they gave him like a bit of a more unique thing about his transformations with them. Okay, in the first episode they have to keep him more basic, but they have to keep him more basic, but in the next couple they try to do something more unique with him, like having ultimate aliens, not just regular aliens. Him using actors instead of just transforming it to like the end. Like they definitely try to keep him unique and fresh, so it's not gonna be too much of a mirror match. But yeah, he's just a fine addition. There's nothing like that really makes him stand out though. Just a very solid rogue gallery member. All for one. I did not like that plot twist with him being in control of Shigaraki, so because it kind of takes away a bit from Shigaraki's tragedy. So I'm actually putting him lower. I'm not a fan of these whole grand masterminds who can plan everything all along or something. So on a minus. His designs are decent at least, and he does have somewhat of the aura and charisma, so I'm not gonna put him completely low, but just in general, I don't really think I would put him high. I like that's me. I don't want to rank him too low just because. I mean, I guess my personal opinion is what matters. So I could, but I don't know. I just like he feels too bland as a character, in my opinion. He serves his. I'll put him here because I think he serves his role just like Prime, Hajun, and Poseidon do, but I feel like they were kind of going overboard with him with the whole like revealing that he's Shira. Like that's my main issue. If it wasn't revealed that that he literally planned the whole life for Shiraki, literally before he was even born, I would probably rank him at least in B tier. But as it stands, I really don't like how much they gave him like responsible. Kind of just takes away a bit of the agency. Kind of takes away some of the like the commentary on the society aspect because like he's the grand schemer of all things. So yeah. Anyways, then we have Farah from Symphogear, probably my least favorite auto score, which doesn't say she's bad because I would still put her in A tier. And Farah, she is. I'll put her here between Adam and Kiki because while I'm not the biggest fan of her, I do think she uh well, it was reasonably fun. Like I like how her fighting style. I like how she used wind. I love her sword that destroys everything that would be considered a blade or the concept of blade. I think that's a very interesting idea for a weapon. In general speaking, she was a very fun character. It's just she wasn't as appealing as the other two. So yeah. Then we have Arachnid. I prefer Black Arachnid over Arachnid, but I do like her. But she's a functional sadistic antagonist. She serves her purpose just as well as a lot of other characters. Yeah, I think this is a reason. Yeah, she's serviceable. Like I like what they do. I like the rival she had with RC. I'm not really a big fan of how they ended the story with her just becoming like infected by that virus and then just thrown to the moon and then pretty much nothing. I think it like there might be a story in the comics or in a light novel or something where they actually confronted her and the alien horde of zombies and destroyed her. But that's really it. Just kind of feels like she was a cool character, but then just kind of went downhill. And then afterwards, I think she made a few appearances. Like she appeared as the right hand woman to Sentinel Prime in the Transformers One in the movie, but there's nothing really more. She was like reasonably antagonistic and fun. Then we have Bagra from Ragna Crimson. So I'll put him in. He was fine enough. I do prefer the idea of him just being like that and being reduced to a point like he's just in hand because he's so old and he was so hurt and all that. So I do like it, but and then when he went just to the generic like 20 something man with the with a plan, that's where I kind of where it kind of lost me at it, and then the whole like his end with him just again, it's up to you only to being cutting and being decapitated like so quickly. It just felt like kind of takes away some of it. Kind of feels like he should have just been destroyed by what's his name, the second seed from Crimson's original group. I feel like that would have worked better, and just like as he's dying away, him being he says, "Oh, it's up to you, Volta Common, to protect the progenitor." I feel like that would work better than him being. I mean, to be fair, I think he was out of it even before he was done. Even before he would start saying that, like he was essentially like all that guy did was like speed up the process. But still, I feel like there was a better way to handle his defeat and all that. But yeah. Anyways, we then have Ultimatia, the original waifu of Ragna Crimson. She I'll put her in A tier. She's fun as a character. I liked how they gave her the weakness of her not being the best combatant. I like her backstory, how it relates to Sun Cult. She's a reasonable character. I like her design. I think she generally works. It's just she doesn't have the charisma that Volton Kamui had. She had some more at the beginning, but then as soon as like Ragnar beat the shit out of her, she immediately lost all that aura, and then she sort of just kind of like waited until like the fight, though like the captain showed up to beat her. I mean, I get it. It's supposed to hype up Multi Comedy, but it just kind of makes, the fact that she's the first progenitor dragon. It kind of feels like it sort of made her. It kind of feels like the writer made her too powerful, so he needed to like completely reduce all the like combative skill and everything like that. It's just, I get it, but like for the first one, it just sort of feels unnecessary. Okay, then we have Nebula from the Ragna Crimson. Uh, like, I'll put him here. Like, it's not that I don't like Nebulum, it's just he's not like one of those characters whose purpose in the story is still long running. Like, you can tell the author has plans for him. He's very much meant to be like Ragnar's counterpart. It's just until we get those actual moments, it's not gonna be. We're not gonna be able to rank him highly, and that's kind of the thing about Nebulum. I see what the alpha is going for. It's just until I see the results, it's gonna be hard to like him and not just think he's a plot armor guy. I guess maybe we're supposed to be feeling the frustration about him having this plot armor, about being like killed like 4 times, or how many times he got killed, but still being alive. But it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like until we get the actual payoff. It's not gonna be an easy thing to rank him highly or objectively rank him. Alright, then we have Ratkeeper from Gogo Loser Ranger. He's the Homelander of the group, and yeah, as a Homelander character, he serves his purpose really well. I would definitely say I like him more than Blue Keeper, especially on the revelations that we get later on and character stuff that we get, but it's just, he's, he kind of loses a lot of his aura as the main villain after season 1. You'll get what I mean when the anime gets to it, but it's just, I don't know, like, for the Homelander, he doesn't really have the same kind of appeal well, so far in the anime, he still has that aura, but later on, he sort of just loses it, and the whole thing they do it with his backstory and revelations, he's serviceable, but I don't think he really has the same like star power. Like if I was to make this video during before the revelations, before I read the few things about the manga and the newest chapters, I would probably rank him higher. But so far, I kind of have to rank him lower because a character. He was a lot less intimidating than now than he was previously. Then we have Aliana, I believe is her name, from Team Flare of Pokemon, and she's again a serviceable antagonist. I don't think she does anything real that makes her stand out. I think Seleucia is the one who has a bit more of a fun personality, but Aliana just kind of, she's out there because she's in the game. And that's pretty much it. Pretty much it to her. Like, there's nothing really I can remember that makes her really stand out or make her like be a better character. Like the anime definitely fixed things for Team Flare and all, but I don't think that she really stood up as a character. Like maybe I have to see. I mean, I don't think there's like anything that she did that really made her stand out. So yeah, anyways, then we have Leoria, the final automata from Autoscore from Symphogear, and I don't like her as much as I like Mika and Gaia, but I don't. But I also like her. But I like her more than Farah, so she has to be somewhere here. And I think I'll put her here. I like her dancing style. I like how she's the first one we see as well. Yeah, I think she's the first one that we see as well as the last one that technically gets defeated. And I do like the fact how she uses her gold to fight and how she uses gold coins. And she's generally a very nice character, especially the whole JoJo reference. So she's fine. It's just that she's sort of like, I think she's just overshadowed by the other three a lot. So she does kind of lose all of her focus. That her sister thing is sort of like a weird addition because it's not really does really anything, but whatever. She's serviceable, but I do feel like they should have been done better than she was. But what can you do? Alright, anyways, then we have Pinkkeeper, who, I will put her in C tier, and she again, like because she is Hibiki's big sister. She's um she's a Sisku, and that's about it for the anime. And then we get to like have her some, like she's the girl character, but she also has like a bit more like against the stereotypes, but she doesn't also do much or anything. Like she has like there is more depth to her, and she's like the one that first calls her kind of the BS that her parents have, but there is really nothing to her character. We like, yeah, I think she's a character who's a lot more in the mystery area right now, though unfortunately she's being put out of commission for some time in the manga, but that's really it. She's serviceable for a plot, but again, you can't need the payoff. She's like one of those characters gonna read a lot better once the story is complete. At least I'm assuming that her story is gonna be complete when the series is gonna be in its conclusion. Then we got Chanteos, which in case you don't know, because I don't blame you, Chanteos is a character that appears in Ragna Crimson. He is one of the Bloodline members. He's in the future, I believe he's there to be like the 12th seat, but in the present or in the current where the manga takes place, he's actually a non fully forged dragon, so he's technically still not. And the reason you're probably asking why he's here while other ones are not included, like the 10th seed or the 8th seed, is because he actually does have a bit of an main antagonist of an arc role. I'm not sure if they are going to adapt that in the anime, but basically, a little spoilers from the manga or the beginning of the first season. I don't really know how they're gonna handle this, but basically, after Ragnar deals with the Winged Bloodline, we then kind of been in the past where we have Leo, like what Leo was essentially doing during that time when Ragnar was doing his stuff. And we see that Chanteos was actually trying to like copy what Ultrazora does, but because he's a brawler, he cannot copy Ultrazora. So all he can do is like threaten a member of a military to like use his soldiers to kill the humans, which that didn't work. The Leo and the Dragon Hunters that they were with easily beat them, which then pisses Chanteos off, so he just kills the human general because it didn't work. So he goes to just do it himself. But the thing is that he's not a natural talent, while Leo is, so when he cannot completely overwhelm her, and I think Leo also gets backup from someone who was in Starly's division, but he's not that big of a threat because he's not fully evolved. So he gets beaten, but fortunately for him, he gets fully evolved, where he gets the design that he has now, and then he just wants a dragon, but he eventually gets overcome by Leo's growth. And yeah, he gets. I'm not sure that's gonna be an anime or not, because this whole story kind of feels like it could be like cut. Like it's volume 12 if you're curious. Yeah, volume 12. But that's really it. And he now was a pretty decent. He didn't really again do much. He was just sort of again, he was just like a boss for Leo to fight someone impressive. Sounds just a regular big dragon. So yeah. Anyways, then we have Vanelita from Gushing on Magical Girls. So I'm gonna put Vanelita here because similar to like Sister Gigant and Hermes, we don't know what they're up to. We know they're up to something, but until we get the end of the story, we're not gonna be able to say what. And in that sense, I can't really rank Vanelita higher because we don't really know what she's up to. So all we can go off is from the characterization we have so far, which is basically just the like little troll and little imp. But that's about it for his character. Anyways, we are going back to some big leaguers with Megatron, and I think we can all agree that Megatron deserves to be in S tier. Like, I like the changes they did with it. I like Megatron was already one of the most popular iconic characters when he was just a pure evil character, but now with the Cyberverse, Transformers 1, and even the War for Cybertron trilogy, that was what those 3 seasons were, you know, the ones with the controversial like writing. But anyways, like I like the more tragic aspect of like little past connection they added to Megatron with being friends with Optimus. I like the more noble goal. I generally think they updated his character really well, and I feel like it just works in a very nice way. So I definitely think it deserves S tier. It might be basic, but it does function. Then we get 4 from Record of Ragnarok. Oh, I missed them. I forgot. I said it was just 2 or so, but 4 is still there. And 4, I'll put him between Harjun and Persona because while 4 has grown on me from first watching the series, I still don't think I would really rank him that highly as one of my favorites. Although there is something unique about him, especially with the revelations that we got with 4, with Odin in the chapters. But right now, I can't really rank him because again, like, granted, he then still falls into that category of character who has more than it's been shown so far, but I can't really say until we find out what's he up to. I mean, this character literally disappeared for like 8 rounds after his round and then only reappeared before the start of the 10th round. And now is once again kind of disappearing with only being reappeared as in one of the copies that Loki makes. But anyways, we're gonna have to see where 4's character goes, especially now with Loki's fight. It's also that they are going to have some kind of significant moment in the backstory because you know that Loki, you know, I kind of have to have that. It's got Loki in Loki in 4. Yeah, you can't have that. Alright, then we have Starscream, another easy S tier villain, and again, like I like what they're doing with Starscream, with having him become like the more evil one between Megatron and between him himself and Megatron. I like that. I like how they handled that, and generally speaking, I like the connivingness. I like designs to give him. I definitely think they are making him an interesting character, and the interesting like aspects where they gave him in like Armada and for so much Trencher, where they make him more noble, or at least a deeper character than he usually is portrayed at. But again, like I don't think anyone's ever going to be like saying that. Like you may not like Megatron and Starscream, but I feel like even if you're not big fans, now you gotta agree they're S tier. Like you just cannot say they're not. Anyways, then we have Adrelfes from Hell of a Boss. Like, I'm sorry, like if you've seen any of the discourse between with Adrelfes and the Hell Boss community, like you can tell that Adrelfes is like probably like one of the most disliked characters. Like he's like a pointless character. His design is kind of bland. He's unnecessary. His scheme is dumb and only really work because of the plot. So yeah, I just have to put him in trash tier. Like there's really nothing about him, which is a shame because I really like ice powers. Which actually I think about. I like shadow and ice powers, and both of the two who I put in trash so far are literally ice and shadows. How the heck did that happen? How? But anyways, then we get to the final 5 with Arthur Watts. And Arthur, I like them as a RWBY villain. I do feel like I like Arthur. I like what they've done with him in Atlas arc. I like how simplistic. I like how his design is simplistic, but it works. I like how they handled his battle with Ironwood because like he's not a fighter, so he has to be very limited. We have to be very careful about how much you give him. I mean, I do think they've done really well with Arthur's with what they've given to Arthur, and so I do have to rank him highly. I don't want to put him in A tier, but B tier would probably work well. Yeah, I'll put him here. Actually, you know what? I also, yeah, I think that's better because like the thing is like because Arthur from Mika, Garia, and Lord and Noma actually have stories. So Anam Zola is just kind of more of a side piece a lot of times, and I wouldn't really say that his ultimate is really the best story for him. Like they give him more personality and everything, but I don't think it really stands up to these four. Then we have Vanessa from Symphogear, and Vanessa and Red Heel Noble Red are pretty controversial figures because a lot of people seem to hate them because, well, I'll be honest, the way the story of season 5 has been handled has been really controversial and very awful. Like, it really feels like they only had ideas and then they were forced to like shove it together and throw it out as a product. It really didn't feel like it worked the best, but I feel like from like a idea concept, not the execution, Vanessa was handled well and reasonably good. They could have definitely made her done better, especially if they like swapped a few things. Like, that's the thing. I feel like if they swapped the rats, like when they would start using their drastic actions where they're threatening the lives of thousands, or they explain a few of their threatening of lives with drastic measures a bit better, it would probably work easier. But because they didn't, yeah, unfortunately, it makes them worse characters. But to me, I think they worked well. And Vanessa also, I think, functions really well in the story. So, and I like her character and everything. So I'm going to have to put her. So I'm going to put her very high. I also like how they made her this android robot girl, with how they also kind of still like wanted to do a little fences with her, and still made her a very fun character with literal bazookas, cause for her chest. So I think she works very well. Then we have Weather Wizard from DC, another character like Atomic Skull who appears pretty frequently in stories and is reasonably interesting and fun. But again, he's sort of, I want to say he's not this as good as like Captain Boomerang or he's sort of, he has the presence and he's the Rogues Gallery member, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel like he has like enough of a presence. And weirdly enough, I feel like in the actual TV series, they don't actually have him be a part of the Rogues, except maybe in the Flashpoint Paradox. I mean, to be fair, they also had the Top there, and I don't think the Top has even appeared as a cameo, except for that one movie. So, is Weather Wizard in the Rogues? I can't remember on top of my head right now if he is in or not, but regardless, he's a fun enough character, but nothing really to write home about. Although, fun enough, his first appearance is in Superman. He actually is like a part of the league that is meant to fight Superman, so it's kind of a weird thing, like how they kind of made him like sort of in the Justice League Unlimited universe, a bit more like a Superman antagonist, but whatever. Anyways, there we have Agent Bishop from TMNT. A new character was invented, I believe, for the 2003 version, and he was a reasonable character. I think he falls into that like Amanda Waller Caesar kind of role, but he's a lot more antagonistic to the characters, which could contribute more to the story because of where TNT was in 2003, where positions were they compared to like other superhero media. But I think Agent Bishop is definitely was a very interesting addition, a very good one, especially with his character progression when he was like he was an enemy at first, and he did still have that like that enemy presence, but then they were kind of forced to work together with him, which then benefited everyone, despite him being a cause for the problems in the first place. And then when they went to future, I do like how they had him like be saved by an alien, and then him not being able to accept like why would he be saved, which caused them to like progress to a point that he decided to just like, we'll become aliens are people just like us. My first encounter with aliens was awful, but they are not what all aliens. So I will make a society that can function together. So he did that. He made a spatial union to work together and for everyone and to keep everyone, make a better world. So I do like his character change. I do like how it was used. And yeah, I think he deserves to be in B tier. Like, he was a solid addition to the cast. And now, finally, for the final villain, we have Yubel from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. And I think we couldn't have ended with a better, since we are ending up with another S-tier villain in Yubel. Yeah, Yubel, you're getting S-tier 3. I like her story. I like the presence that she had throughout the arc. I like how she goes back with Jaden. I like how I find her ending funny because she essentially marries Jaden for her ending. And I think it worked. Like, her duels are definitely very high level. I like how her duels are with her constant, with her like being definitely like very powerful, because like sometimes you kind of have to question the power levels, how good of duelist characters are, but Yubel, I think she did a good job at showing it, because like you always have her like beating because you see that she's always being like, she fights strong opponents, and it's not like, oh, she's beating them, but then they pull out some BS card out there and they beat her. No, it's usually ties. Like in the first duel, she fights both Jaden and Jesse, and they're struggling. They can only tie with her. Then she fights Zane. He would not have won the fight regardless. They just want like a cool epic shot. At least I don't think so. Like I know TPS anime or something made a video with, or TCG anime I think it was called, his channel, and made a video about analyzing her fight against Zane. And I think he said, and I think it's like one of those times where there really wasn't any way Zane could have beaten her. I might be wrong. I need to re-watch the video, but I think it was there that there was no way that Zane could have beaten her. But still, it was a high diff fight, so Yubel definitely showed that. And then you have her battling Atticus? Not Atticus. Well, the Cloud guy. And she was taken as a joke because she didn't review him. She was a bit impressed by his power, but ultimately she was able to beat him. And then again against Jaden, I think it was another tie fight. I think she just kind of gave up halfway, or she left the fight basically. And then again, the final one, she basically just they married. So yeah, I definitely think Yubel was a well done villain, and I mean, I was saying that we haven't got like a. No, I think I'd be mean to Vector and Lightning if I said that we didn't get any. Actually, no. Yubel, Victor, and Lightning. I feel like those are like the only ones that would, like Victor and Lightning. I feel like the only two that would really say and will battle that will equal, or at least the same type of writing quality or villain as Yubel was since then. So yeah, not really a good sign, but what can you do? So yeah, this is the list. We have Shirake number 1, Kawa number 2, Yubel number 3, Megatron number 4, Starsky number 5, and Volta Comet number 6. God bless, I'm surprised that we had so many S tiers so quickly. But to be fair, we'll see how this whole thing progresses later. After all, like, we start out with S tiers, but it's very likely that we'll get a volume with villains that are like trash. Seriously, how the heck did I manage to have them in my first video, have 2 of my favorite film archetypes be villains that are awful? How? But yeah, anyways, I hope you like this very, very, very long video. I hope you leave a like, leave suggestions for some villains you would like to see ranked here. And with that said, I cannot wait to see all of you mortals next time. Goodbye.